Hey, welcome to Mr. West class. This video is going to be talking about how we can take a look at two fractions and figure out which one is greater, which one is less. Let's take a look at this first example here. Sometimes when you have a couple fractions, you can just take a look at them and you can figure out what they mean, and you can tell pretty easily which one is greater. So, for instance, the one on the left right here, 1/10, that's one piece out of 10 total. And you can see that with the pi beneath it. And then 8 parts out of 9, the one on the right, clearly 8 pieces out of 9 would be greater than 1 piece out of 10. So sometimes just by looking at a couple fractions you can tell which one is greater. However, they're not always that easy. Sometimes when you take a look at a couple fractions, you'll notice that you can't just usually visualize that. So let's take a look at this example right here, 5/6 and 6/7. So that might be kind of difficult to figure out which one is greatest just by visualizing it, and we don't really want to have to keep drawing circles and dividing them up into parts. Luckily, there's a much easier way. So here's the how-to sheet over here on the right side of the page, and this can be found on page 2 of your how-to folder. Step 1 and 2 kind of go together. Step 1 says to multiply each denominator by the opposite numerator. And that's called cross multiplying. So I'm going to show you how we do that. You start with your denominator. So in this case we have 6, and we're going to multiply by the opposite numerator, which is 6. 6 times 6 is 36. So that was step 1. And step 2, write the answers to those multiplication problems above the numerators. So 6 times 6 is 36. So I'm going to write my 36 right there. But I need to do the same thing with the other denominator and numerator when I cross multiply. So start at the 7 times 35. 7 times 5 is 35. And I'll write the 35 right there. So step 3 says the numerator with the highest number above it is the greater fraction. So as we can see, 36 right here is greater than 35, which means the fraction on the right side is going to be the greater fraction. So we would say 5/6 is less than 6/7. The 6/7 fraction is greater. Also notice that the 36 and the 35, those are pretty close together, which means that 5/6 and 6/7 are also pretty close together, with 6/7 being the greater one. Let's do another example. So this one we've got 5/8 and 7/12. They're both pretty close to half. Let's do our cross multiplying step and figure out for sure which one is greater. So start with the denominator and multiply times the opposite numerator. 8 times 7, 56. 12 times 5 is 60. And in this case, the 60 is greater than the 56. So that means the 5/8 fraction would be greater than the 7/12 fraction.